Hey, what is going on, guys? Xpertfusion here, and in this video I want to talk about the Black Ops 3 beta. And since it is now officially over on all platforms, I want to talk about what needs to be fixed for the actual release of Black Ops 3. And there were a few things that I think does definitely need to be fixed, and I'm going to address them right here in this video. So first things first, I would have to say a few weapon balancing it needs to be made. I think a few weapons need to be balanced a little bit. First of all, for the SMGs, I definitely think the Weevil needs a little bit of a damage buff because it's definitely very, very weak, and I definitely think it can use a really decent damage buff. So I definitely think that would make it a better weapon and a more viable option, because right now it's really not that much of a viable option, not really a gun I would use too often. So the rest of the other SMGs I think are pretty good already. Razorback I think needs a little nerf. I do think the Razorback is still overpowered, even though they did nerf it a little bit on the range. I still think it needs maybe a little bit of a damage reduction, something like that, because it is very, very powerful and it just destroys anybody. So I think it's a little bit too overpowered at this point, so I definitely think that thing needs a little bit of a nerf in the game. And for the assault rifles I think are pretty balanced. The only one that I would maybe tune with a little bit more is the MAA7, which did already get a little bit of a nerf in the middle of the beta. In the middle of the Xbox beta, they nerfed it a little bit, so I don't know if it needs that big of a nerf, but it could use a little bit of a nerf because it still is really, really good. And that's really all for the assault rifles. I think the weapon balancing in this game is really great. The one other thing that I think needs a little bit of a buff would be the KRM shotgun. I think the thing is too many hit markers. It has way too many hit markers, but it's still a viable option at really close ranges. So that's what shotguns are for, so it definitely doesn't need that big of a buff. But that's all for the weapons. Now leading on to other things like equipment. The Black Hat, man, that thing needs a nerf. That thing needs to be nerfed down to the littlest bit. Black Hat is way too overpowered. That thing needs to be gone. And another thing that I think needs to be kind of nerfed in the tactical category would be the concussions and the flashbangs. They're just way too powerful, man. They're way too powerful at this point. They need to be at least nerfed down a little bit. Not way too much, but a little bit. So that's for the equipment and stuff like that. I think everything else is pretty good. Grenades are decent, not anything too powerful. But now I want to talk about the specialist characters, their weapons, and their abilities. I do think they need some more tuning in that category. So the one thing that I think definitely needs to be changed, and it's not to a specific character, it's just all the characters in general, for their weapons, okay? All the characters have different weapons and stuff like that. I think that they should make it so if you don't shoot a bullet, any bullet, if you don't even put a single bullet out of the specialist weapon and you're just walking around the map looking for somebody and then you die, I don't think you should lose it, because you actually do lose it even if you haven't shot a single bullet. You take it out, you just walk around the map, and then you get shot from behind or something like that, you lose it. You're like, well, that's bullshit, I didn't even get to shoot a bullet. So I think it's kind of bullshit. You should be able to keep it if you haven't shot a bullet, but of course if you die after you shot a few bullets with it, yes, then I understand you lose it. But sometimes in games I never get to even use my specialist weapons, because every time I decide to pull it out, it's like in a really bad moment where there's somebody right behind me about to shoot me in the back, so I can't use it anymore, and that can be really freaking annoying. So I definitely think they need a little bit tuning on that. And another little thing they need tuning on is the specialist abilities. Some of them last way too short, like the exo cloak. That thing, I mean, not the exo cloak, I'm thinking of advanced warfare, the active camo, the thing that cloaks yourself. That thing needs to last a little bit longer. I think that the overdrive on Ruin needs to last a little bit longer. I think the vision pulse, it's good. I guess that's not like anything needs to be tuned up, but still, I think a lot of the abilities need to last a little bit longer because they're way too short. And for the weapons, I don't think they need any major tuning or anything like that. I think the weapons are pretty balanced overall at this point, but I just think they all need to, because we don't get to use them as much, because if you die with them without even shooting a bullet, it's kind of bullshit. So those are the only really things that I think needs to be fixed within Black Ops 3. Otherwise, I think it's pretty good. But one more thing, really one quick thing, which would be the flinch. I think the flinch is way too high. Now, I know there's no toughness perk, and they did it on purpose. It makes sense. But I think the flinch needs to be reduced. It needs to be reduced by a lot, because I feel like I'm getting outgunned way too much by big, faster shooting weapons, and it kind of gets pretty annoying. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I will see you guys on my next one. Peace out.